question about whether to be optimistic or pessimistic is something I think, not as an artist, but I battle with every day. I think most people battle with every day. And I think art's a wonderful thing. You know, I love art. I like making art, and seeing other people's art really inspires me. I get excited by it. But it's also, you also have this downside of it, really, that it's a pretty dirty world. You know, it's all the collectors. They're all, you know, they're not arms dealers. They're, you know, lawyers who just make money out of misery. And you're trying to sell your work to these people. Or then you think, oh, I'm not going to sell my work to these people, or maybe you'll get money from an institution or something. But lots of academic institutions these days, they're just ways of fleecing wealthy overseas students or something, you know. It's all dirty. And so I like that thing that you have to carve your own way through all this muck and filth that is the world. I'm quite ready to admit, I think lots of people aren't ready to admit that they're complete hypocrites, but I'm quite happy saying, you know, I really wish, I'd really like to save the planet, but I like eating meat. I don't know, things which are just paradoxical, and I'm quite happy to admit that and try and make my work about that somehow, try and make your work about all the problems that you face. Of somebody trying to sell something or trying to get an idea across, whether it's something that they need to sell or a political idea on some sort of placard or something that they've made themselves on the side of the street, is a really compelling idea for me. And I think those things, they're obviously the same things that inspired people like Ed Ruscha or Desari, all those people. But I must admit, I don't think about it in that way. I think about it much more like a kind of vernacular art, or like English painting on the side of ice cream vans I really like. Or I really like the way, I don't really like Frida Kahlo very much, but I really love the way her paintings are painted. They're very simply painted. The painting, This Artist is Deeply Dangerous, it doesn't refer to me, it refers to Louise Bourgeois, and it's really a transcription of this article by Steve Beerley, who is the tennis correspondent of The Guardian. And a few years ago they were asked to, well, it's 2 years ago I think now, they were asked to, they sent Adrian Star and all those people to look at sporting events, and then Steve and the sports writers wrote about art events. And because he was in Paris looking at the French Open at Roland Garros, he went to see Louise Bourgeois at the Centre Pompidou. And this article, I think, is really beautiful. It talks about, has all these different arcs in it. Like, tells you the story of Louise Bourgeois, her as a young kid in the First World War, and then growing older. And he says she's a bird like octogenarian. and then he talks about the relationship between art and sport, and how art is all about in the moment. And he says things that no art writer would ever write. Like, he says things like when you look at sport, you think about sport, but when you look at art, you think about yourself. And people, I think, if you were writing that and you knew a lot about art, you wouldn't write it. You would think, oh, it's too self-conscious, or maybe it's too pat or a bit cheesy or something. But it's really a great thing to say about art. The big aspect of this show really is an idea about how great at making art, but the downside of it is, although I think of myself as reasonably sort of successful artist, you just end up making so much stuff. But here it's more about the accumulation of stuff, really, like that, and the problems that causes me, really. Like after this show, I really don't know where on earth any of it's going to go, and you shouldn't really worry about those things. But as you get older, you do think, what was I thinking? How have I got into this situation? Well, this person is just like a mad snail, but instead of building its own home, I've built like a block of flats on my back.